MMA Boxing Talk here. This is a UFC 205 recap video. I just want to talk about some of the big fights that happened. Great card. Apparently, it broke the pay-per-view record. It broke the gate, Madison Square Garden's gate. It broke Madison Square Garden's attendance record. Um, and I'm pretty sure it broke the UFC pay-per-view record, which before Saturday was UFC 202, which just took place, which was 1.65 million pay-per-view buys. Anyway, Conor McGregor looked sensational against Eddie Alvarez. I mean, what more can you say about Conor McGregor? Um, he talks the talk and he walks the walk. Very, very impressive win. And he made Eddie Alvarez look irrelevant out there. Like, Eddie wasn't even on the same level as him. Eddie tried for 3 takedowns. None of them were successful. Conor showed very good takedown defense against Nate Diaz, who's not a wrestler. And, I noticed, that's an improvement from the Mendes fight. A lot of that had to do with Conor's knee in the Mendes fight. It wasn't at 100%. He tweaked it, he said 3 months before the Mendes fight, so it wasn't 100%. But in this fight, perfect takedown defense. He definitely landed on Eddie early, and Eddie, he forgot about his game plan pretty quickly. As Mike Tyson always said, everyone has a game plan until they get punched in the face, and that's basically what happened. And Eddie, afterwards admitted that he fought stupid, and he was mainly surprised by Conor's speed and precision and timing. That's what kind of surprised Eddie the most. By great win by Conor McGregor, he becomes the first two-weight world champion in UFC history to do it simultaneously. It's unprecedented, I mean, it's not much you can say. The haters, they're really going to shine bright now because, there's a lot of people that weren't fans and, that never really got on to Team McGregor. They're starting to become fans now. What can they say? People that actually are smart and not like a negative person their whole fucking lives, and then, they're sour and they hate everyone. Those people are starting to realize, holy shit, this guy is for real. And it's late, for them to realize that. But sometimes, you need something like this to happen because maybe they don't like Conor's character. They really don't like it, so it's tough for them to give him credit and props. But I mean, how can you not at this point? I had a buddy saying, he texted me, Nate Diaz isn't even that good anyway. Like, okay, so obviously you can't say that about Eddie. And Nate Diaz is a great fighter. And he's a very bad matchup for Conor McGregor. Despite him not being maybe the most well-rounded fighter, Nate Diaz, against a guy like Eddie could give him some trouble. But against Conor, Nate's a bad matchup for Conor. But anyway, great fight. Sensational performance by Conor McGregor. Hats off to him. Now, in the co-main event, we had an awesome fight against Tyron Woodley, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. There was some controversy at the end. There was they had the judges had it wrong. They originally scored it for Woodley, which I was very upset. And a lot of there's people that think Woodley won. There's some people that think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson won. I personally think I can live with a draw. A draw, I understand how someone scored at a draw more than for Tyron Woodley. I think Wonderboy did enough to win this fight, despite it being very close. I thought he won the second and the third, and he won the fifth round. And he weathered the storm, and neither round was a 10-8 round. Like that first round, how someone scored that 10-8 for Woodley is beyond me. And the fourth round, maybe a 10-8, but even then, Wonderboy, the first 2 minutes, minute and a half, 2 minutes of that round, Wonderboy won the beginning of the round. Tyron dominated, but the last minute, Woodley or Wonderboy recovered and was on top of Woodley, who was all gassed out. So Wonderboy might have won almost half of that round. Not as dominant, but so that's not a 10-8 round. Woodley wins it. So Woodley, going into the fifth round, it was 2 rounds to 2. Woodley had the first and the fourth, and Wonderboy had the second and the third. And in the fifth round, I thought it was Wonderboy's round, but it ended up being a draw. I can live with that. There's going to be an immediate rematch. It only makes sense. That's going to be a great fight. But hats off to both fighters. Woodley impressed me in this fight. A lot of people were writing him off. I wasn't one of them who was writing him off completely, but I was favoring Wonderboy heavily. But he impressed me. Wonderboy's toughness impressed me. Very, very great fight. Can't wait for the rematch. I hope that's early winter. Maybe February or something like that would be awesome. But anyway, moving on. Joanna Jedrzejczyk versus Karolina Kowalkievich. Another great fight. Joanna, on the scorecard or on the punch stats, she dominated the fight. But she had a big scare in the fourth round. I believe it was the fourth round where Karolina really started to land a lot more. I'm pretty sure I remember saying the third round was Karolina's best round. Like at that point, Joanna won the first 2 rounds. It wasn't even close. The third, I thought Joanna won it, but Karolina was coming. She was starting to get her groove, landing a little bit more on Joanna. Fourth round, she really hurt Joanna. Joanna showed her toughness again, extreme toughness, and weathered the storm. And I thought she won the fifth round. But Karolina Kowalkievich, she is very, very durable, very, very tough. I knew that coming into this fight, but now I know for sure she's very durable and very tough. She had a couple bruises on her face, and that was it. Joanna's face was messed up. And Joanna landed so many punches on her. The punch stat, significant, especially when you're talking about significant punches landed. It was significant punches landed was 171 to 50, and total strikes were 181 to 63. That's a landslide. That's like 120 significant strikes landed more. Joanna had 120 significant strikes landed more than Karolina. So great fight. Joanna is the real deal. I would really like to see Karolina Kowalkievich fight Claudia Gadelha next. Claudia's got a fight this weekend coming, believe it or not. Not sure who she's fighting. I think she'll get the win. I always had Claudia number 1 after Joanna. And now Karolina is very legit. And I really, really like to see her fight Claudia Gadelha, So that'd be a great title eliminator fight. The winner of that gets a shot at Joanna. But because I don't know how many more fights Joanna has at strawweight, maybe 2 or 3 more. I think she's gonna be moving up eventually as the women's divisions get stronger and more fighters. I could just see them opening up that 125-pound division, and Joanna, challenging for their first title, But let me know what you guys think. Obviously, Chris Weidman, it's too bad. Disappointing for him, but hats off to Yoel. Always dangerous, just that freak athlete. Ridiculous. But so he's going to fight Bisping. I like that fight a lot, actually. I think it's going to be a good fight. I really wanted to see Weidman Bisping. I think that would have been an excellent fight. But Yoel versus Michael Bisping will be great. I think I favor Michael Bisping. He's very, very tough. He's shown that, in his last 2 fights. Michael Bisping against Dan Henderson showed tremendous toughness. He was almost finished in the first round, and he continued to go on for another 20 minutes, winning on points, and he did win on points. That was controversial, but he won that fight. It's the way that the fights are scored. It's round by round. And Bisping was the more dominant fighter for a longer period of time in that fight. Henderson, his moments were so extreme and full of damage. He was damaging Bisping a lot, but they were so few and far between. His moments Henderson's moments in the fight weren't as long. You know, they were short, solid moments, but Bisping dominated the majority of the fight. And you know, against Anderson, after taking that knee, you know, being totally wary, coming out and winning the fourth and the fifth, you know, after that, um, he's got tremendous toughness. So Yoel, it's going to take a lot for Yoel to put him out. Bisping's a high volume guy, moves forward. Yoel's not a high volume guy. Yoel, like this fight, he'd have to catch him. You know, he'd have to hurt him like he did Weidman. He'd have to stop him in his tracks. Or I think Bisping's gonna take that and get a decision win. Let me know what you guys think, though. I had to put out a video talking about the you know, the main card. But yeah, if you like the video, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at MMABoxingTalk1. Peace.